I really hate being called guest of honor. There's nothing so honorable in being a guest. But okay, I just want to kind of, I think you're probably are converts. You kind of know the value of blockchain, so I won't talk that much about it. Maybe I just kind of share with you what Enterprise Singapore hopes to achieve and how we're actually doing. Supporting our companies to start and to grow. So firstly, as a government agency, we are not in business ourselves, so we don't know your business. You would be the one who knows your business best. So essentially, how we catalyze new growth in our company, growth in new companies as well as SMEs is through I would say, a 5-point approach. The first is what we call S. S is about seeding new companies, seeding investments into new companies. So we have actually a co-investment equity program called Startup SG Equity, where we actually can do a one-to-one matching into companies, seed companies with potential to grow. All right, so this is because at this stage, actually, the risk level is actually quite high. So, but we are never the lead investor. We actually follow on, with third-party investment. So, having seed funding is actually very important because actually that is the starting point of how a idea can get funded. All right. So that is the first S, and the second is about C, which is capacity building. Now, capacity building is always about talent, and it's very important. And actually, in our tech companies, we do have quite a shortage of tech talent. Whether it's in fintech, whether it's in AI, whether it's in cybersecurity, and so on and so forth. So if you recall, I think on the 1st of August 2019, our Minister Chan Chun Sing actually announced a program to actually make it easier, and more flexible to actually bring in, talent from overseas in such highly critical technical areas, and there's some flexibility that will be accorded, to bring in some of these talents from overseas. Now, we recognize that this is very important because apart from money, in fact, I would think that the talent piece is very critical. Now, the third area is what we call L, which is what we call lead demand. Now, Singapore is quite unique because, we are quite very supportive of our companies who can help us to solve our problem. So if we just take the example of the water situation in Singapore, as you know, we don't have very much catchment for water. So it's a real problem for us. And as a result, we actually innovate. And, companies actually give us the ideas of how to actually achieve self-sufficiency. And to this day, I would say that, we have actually spawned off quite a vibrant water-related technology companies and industry. And similarly, we have, use our own problem to actually generate some of this lead demand for other areas. For example, urban living. Living in a compact Singapore, how do you make, what are the technology that can facilitate urban living? So we are very active in actually working with the bigger players, all right, to enable, this lead demand generation, working with the startups, working with SMEs to co-create technology and eventually commercialize it. So that's L, all right, but which is the A should come first, which is accelerate. Now, the government is not we don't try to grow the companies ourselves because that's not our competency. So when we accelerate the growth of companies through partners like LongHash, and I think they have been doing a fantastic job. You agree, right? Okay, you're here means you agree. Let's give them a lot, yeah. Okay, and we have actually supported close to 100 of such multipliers, to actually nurture our companies, to actually provide them with the mentorship, to actually look at how to help our companies refine their business model, to actually bringing in, some of the, mentors, expertise, as well as demand. So this is very important because at the end of the day, I think startup needs a lot of help. and I think having the right accelerator, incubator to help them is actually very important. The last is actually E, so at the end of the day, E is about the ecosystem, all right? And the ecosystem really is more than just partners to accelerate. For example, ecosystem include things like the rules and regulations that you have. How do we make it easier for companies to get started? How do we relax some of the rules, for example, to allow you to bring in talents. So that is one part of the ecosystem that we continuously look with, together with our ministry. The other part of the ecosystem is, of course, the whole ecosystem of financing, all right? Beyond what we can provide in terms of the seed investment, you have actually looked at various different financing models, whether it's peer-to-peer lending, so on and so forth. So we work very actively with MAS to see how we can actually improve the financing environment for our companies. The ecosystem also includes actually building the culture that is, accepting of entrepreneurs, young people want to start a business. When I first started working on entrepreneurship in 2003, when we launched the Action Community for Entrepreneurship, I was just telling my colleague, we even have to educate the parents because they were just not positive about letting their son or daughter start a business. In fact, it was quite a negative kind of sentiment at that time. And there's a lot of this education that we have to do, and a lot of, we do a lot of business plan competition, going to the schools, creating carnivals of sorts. So today, you wind down, 15 years later, we really do have a very vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem, okay? And, so basically, SCALE, which is what we hope to do to actually nurture more startups and to get them to scale up. I think that's very important. And of course, coming back to blockchain, of course, maybe a word or two about blockchain. I mean, to be honest, there are still people who are skeptical about it. To say, hey, really, what can it do? It is still not it's a growth area, all right, but still probably have quite a fair bit of misunderstanding, and it's among businesses how to use it, how do you actually reap benefits from it, and I think one of the beautiful part about such an enabling technology really is that you are not bounded by territory. Basically you can scale, you can grow without a need to actually set up a lot of physical presence and so on and so forth. So I think that is one of the beauty. The other part of it is really blockchain is not just an enabler. It can be a business model as well. All right. I think this is also what we encourage our companies to look at, because if it's just simply an enabler, over time, honestly speaking, margins will come down. All right. But if it's a business model, it allows a generation of new business ideas and new business concept, I think that is the part that is actually going to help these companies to scale. So I think this is the end of my software speech. At this stage, I really would like to congratulate LongHash for the excellent work that they're doing. Enterprise Singapore, we're very supportive of accelerators like them, and we look forward, to greater success. And thank you, all of you.